Hello everyone, this is Paul Nobles from Eat to Perform, and I'm going to run through a file. There's been some interesting chatter related to how low a fat loss cycle will go, and the value of Runway, and just all these different things. So this is a recent file. We've got a lot of history on Liz, and when she first started off, we kind of hung around these real low levels. If you look at the red lines, if you're not an Eat to Perform member, what that basically means is that that's the actual food that she's eating, that we're getting from the food logs that she's putting in, right? And so she started 185.58 about a year ago, and realistically, she had kind of a period here where she was gone and really worked on kind of building up that capacity and then using that capacity. And even though you can't really see it because she's not super new, this spike down is actually her first phase of fat loss. Now, when you think of fat loss, weight loss, you're really talking about managing discomfort, right? And when you're managing discomfort, you're going to want to have as far a runway as possible. And when I say runway, what I mean is I want her calories as high as possible so that as we come down, we can get the best result. And what you're going to see here is that she's basically down real close to 12 pounds. Sorry, that's my coffee. So I'm doing this for you guys with no coffee. But she's basically down right at 12 pounds. And there's all manner of things whenever I do these videos that end up creating some level of noise that I did not anticipate or could not anticipate. So let's get into it and let's see. Well, we'll see where she's at. You'll see that she's green, and meaning that she's compliant to the plan. Sleep is good. Sodium looks good. Fibers maybe a little low. You want to make sure, especially because where she's at right now is kind of the low end of where we would want to be. Her lowest macros are actually under 1400, but you can kind of see that her highest macros are still closer to 1800, and we do that on purpose. Even within the week, we're trying to manage that level of discomfort, right? And so kind of keep that in mind as we go into this. And remember also that this is just the first stage. We're going to actually do a small little reverse. I did talk to Liz, and she said she's actually okay doing it. Thanksgiving's not a big thing for her. That's usually something we want to work around because, with some people that can start to become a problem. But, Thanksgiving luckily is just one of those holidays. And actually this year is kind of interesting. If you're watching this 5 years from now, it won't be, but it's 2018. So it's one of those years where Thanksgiving 2018 is on the 23rd, right? And so remember, she's done this in basically 28 days. The first fat loss cycle is 28 days. So Becky is her primary coach, but you can kind of see that other coaches also check in with her when she can message Becky at any time. So once again, if you're a Eat to Perform member and you're kind of wondering how it all works, Becky's her primary coach. She reviews her once a week, but actually, Liz gets 2 reviews a week. And if you look, let's see if we can find an example of it. Now let me just open up this file right here so you can see it a little bit better. So if you look at the main letters you're really looking at is the ETM8, right? And that basically just kind of shows Liz where she's at in the process so that she knows how many days that she has less than fat loss, and then Becky will communicate with her through Messenger. And so if you want to see, so you can kind of see that Becky's her coach, and then I'm going to click update, and you'll see, actually you won't see it, but there on your side in the app there's a little messenger coach icon, and then there would be like a little green notes button. All right, so she's landed at 182. Let's see. So essentially her last review was the 25th. So on Monday we're going to start reversing her for the first time. And you can kind of see that, let's see, her lowest macros started on October 20th. And she was at 187, but she had 184. So you're always going to see that fluctuation. Fluctuation is a good sign of metabolism. If you watched a few of these, you'll see that I talk about that a lot. And so, she's definitely talking about being hungry. I'm just trying to see when we went to kind of this lowest number. She's been here for a little while. Right, so basically she kind of came in 2 weeks in. Let's see where she was going 2 weeks. So when she first started off, her calories were right at 1,900 on the highest day, and then on her lowest day, she was looking at roughly 1,700. And once we pulled her down, that 2 week process basically netted us somewhere in the neighborhood of, the 187 to 182, so roughly 5 pounds. Now, one of the things that will come up for Liz and will come up for other people is she more likely to rebound? And you're always more likely to rebound out of a dieting cycle. So as we add more food, it's very possible that I'm reading some of her notes, and they're pretty funny. She kept a good attitude about it the whole way. But that additional drop down netted her 5 extra pounds, as you can kind of see. And will she rebound? Yes, 100%. As we start to add more food, now she does have somewhat of control over that, right? Like as you get more food, you have more energy. Workouts start to get a little bit better. Instead of doing 4 pull-ups, you're now doing 6 pull-ups, that kind of thing. And so she controls a lot of that. It's very common for your body to use the energy. And we won't be bringing her up extremely. It's basically over about a 2 week period. And we're going to bring her up not quite to where she was previously, which I'll go into in just a second, but kind of middle way there. And then we're coming down for the second half. Because you can kind of see that she would want to be motivated, right? That she had a lot of success. So one of the things that sort of happens when somebody starts at, let's say, like in her case, 185. I did another case study for a man that is actually pretty relevant to this case study as well. And, over here, it can kind of get real frustrating when, your numbers never get high. But once your numbers kind of get to that higher level, it really makes a difference. But the key here is that Liz is staying focused, right? She built all this runway, and there's going to be a certain amount of suffering along the way, but she's suffering while losing a lot of weight. So she has the potential to lose close to 20 pounds in the whole scenario. And so let's walk through what that means, because people do tend to focus on this a little too much, because this is the part where the customization really starts to come in, right? I'm just scrolling back here. Okay. So started at 193. Okay, we had a little. She started losing weight right out the gate. So 193 looks like that was a kind of got a running start at the whole thing. Her calories overall were 419, 78, 63. So you can kind of see she's 28.96, 25.46. So, you know, her work capacity is pretty high. I'm looking at what she does for workouts, and it's mostly strength, but I do see that her steps get fairly high. Also notice all this green. Now, you know, when you see like yellows up here or yellows right here, those tend to look like what vacations look like, right? Or, you know, anything in the summer. Because when she started, you know, it would have been right coming out of September. And we see a lot of people go into fat loss cycles in September and October. And so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think that what happens for a lot of people is they think, okay, I'm going to build my, you know, runway up to, you know, 3,000, right? And then I'm just going to go down to 2,800 and 2,600 and 2,400 and lose 20 pounds. And that's not really how it works, right? And what you'll see here, you know, if what we're talking about ends up being true and she started at 193, and, you know, you can kind of see that she, you know, she was sitting in the 185 range. She even had 184 while she had 3,000 calories, but she would drift up to 189. And the reason why that's important, and the reason why I'm emphasizing that, is because people focus on those fluctuations a little too much, right? And they want to have like this death grip on that. And when you really want to have the death grip is the part, you know, which is right now, where she's, you know, doing the hard thing and eating less, and you know, potentially going into the second phase and looking at what that looks like. But there's absolutely no reason why she can't, you know, end in at 182. I would say for the second phase, assuming that we don't get too, once again, I'm sorry, you guys, but assuming that we don't get, things don't get too out of hand, I think it's very realistic to get under 175. And I think that's, you know, I'm going to end on that note. What happens for people is they get too caught up. You know, let's say that we can kind of get her into that, let's say 172, 173 range. Now all of a sudden she's got a new floor, numbers she hasn't seen, you know, in a very long time, because it looks like she kind of came to us under eating, right? And she, you know, to her credit, she kind of embraced the do more, be more piece, and it looks like she's going to be able to press that button and get a real good result. And now all of a sudden the key is going to be kind of keeping that focus. So let's say that, you know, her end goal was somewhere under 160. She'd probably be better coming out of this fat loss cycle and really almost waiting till, you know, May, possibly even next September, to make that as a goal. And the slower that you can do that, the leaner you will be, the more muscle you will hold on to, and, frankly, there's a lot of people talking about how low this is. Realistically, when we talk about calories, the lowest calories are 1,400. That it's very common for people to have diets where they're eating 1,400 every single day and not making any progress at all, right? And so she's, the lowest she's eating is 1,400, 1,800 is our highest. So she's basically somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,650 for, a calorie average, but that was only for 14 days, right? So that's what we talk about, managing discomfort, and hopefully this helps you guys. Talk to you later.